Okay, do me a huge favor and try this right now. Seriously, run your own fingers along your own palm exactly the same way someone else would if they were sneaking up and trying to tickle you. Do it right now. Notice what happens? Absolutely nothing. You get no laughter, no involuntary flinch, just a complete and total lack of a tickle response. Well, welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to break down one of the absolutely most fascinating features of the human mind and how it actively, constantly filters the reality you experience.
So it immediately begs the question, right? Why doesn't that work? Because think about it. If someone else did that exact same motion in the exact same spot on your palm, the result would be completely different. You'd probably be squirming. So we're faced with this highly personalized biological mystery here. The nerve endings in your skin, they're firing the exact same identical signals to your brain regardless of whose finger is doing the touching. So the missing ingredient isn't actually in your skin at all.
Imagine you touch your own arm. The physical pressure is there for sure, but the nerve signal is basically dimmed out. It's a canceled surprise. But when someone else touches you, boom, that signal lights up incredibly bright. It is caught completely off guard. And that unpredictability, that element of surprise, is the absolute core of a tickle.
Which brings us to the core of this whole thing, the brain's prediction engine, how your mind edits reality.
Okay, let's really dive into this. To understand why we can't tickle ourselves, we have to look at how your mind literally edits reality. The answer to our mystery is happening entirely inside your head. In a process, your brain runs so incredibly fast and so automatically that you never even realize it's happening. Meet the absolute hero of our explainer today, efference copy. An efference copy is basically a preview generated by your brain of exactly what sensation a self-generated movement is about to create. Every single time you move your body, your brain almost instantly calculates exactly where your touch will land, how much pressure it's going to apply, and precisely what it will feel like. It's essentially running a real-time simulation of your actions.
And because of that preview, the surprise is canceled before contact. Think of it like a glowing brain signal racing down your arm way ahead of your hand's actual physical movement. It gets to the destination first to intentionally cancel the sensation before your fingers even make contact. By the time you touch your own palm, your brain has already successfully edited the surprise right out of your reality.
And you know what the wildest part is? This isn't just about tickling. This continuous prediction system is running constantly, so we aren't completely overwhelmed by our own body's movements. It's the reason you don't feel startled every time you blink your eyes. It's why you can walk down the street without constantly flinching as your arms brush against your own sides. And it's the exact same reason you can't jump out at your own reflection in a mirror and actually scare yourself. Your brain generated a prediction of that exact movement the millisecond you decided to move.
So let's look at testing the limits of this with a famous experiment, the robotic arm.
Now, what's really interesting here is how scientists decided to test just how precise this internal prediction engine really is. They set up this fascinating lab experiment where they built a machine that let people tickle themselves using a robotic arm. So when the person moved their hand, the robotic arm would immediately touch them. In that baseline scenario, no tickle. But then, the scientists introduced a micro delay, just a tiny fraction of a second between the person's hand movement and the machine's touch. And the result? Tickle achieved. That tiny gap in time was just long enough to break the brain's highly precise prediction. It reintroduced a sliver of unpredictability, and suddenly the brain was surprised again.
That brings us to the schizophrenia exception, when the filter glitches.
This is a fascinating exception that proves just how central this prediction mechanism is to our daily lives, because we actually get to see what happens when this internal filter glitches. It involves a concept called disrupted self-monitoring. Studies have actually shown that people with schizophrenia, particularly those who experience certain movement or self-monitoring symptoms, are sometimes able to tickle themselves. Think of it kind of like a subtle neural static. Because of a slight glitch in their internal forecasting mechanism, the efference copy doesn't properly cancel out that self-generated touch. It is a really profound piece of evidence showing exactly what happens when that background prediction engine isn't perfectly aligned.
Next up, an evolutionary defense mechanism. Why do we tickle at all? So, the crucial point is, why do we even have this strange reaction to unpredictability in the first place? Let's zoom out and look at this from an evolutionary perspective. It all comes down to a really simple equation. Unpredictability equals threat. When someone else tickles you, your brain is flying blind. It doesn't have an efference copy. It has no idea exactly when their finger is going to make contact, where it's going to go next, or how much pressure they'll use. So your brain actually perceives a tickle from someone else as a localized threat. It's just this sudden surge of unpredictable sensory input from a potential attacker. And honestly, this makes perfect sense when you map out exactly where on our bodies we are most ticklish. Look at it, the ribs, the neck, and the underarms. These are absolutely prime targets for a predator in close combat. This heightened sensitivity we call ticklishness evolved quite specifically to guard our body's most vulnerable spots against physical threats.
And this leads to a really strange duality. Because if you really think about it, being tickled doesn't actually feel good. It's stressful. You're squirming. You want it to stop. So why on earth do we laugh if it doesn't feel pleasant? It's a brilliant evolutionary defense mechanism. The brain basically tells the body to laugh loudly and frantically to confuse the attacker and make them back off. We are literally deploying a defense strategy that just happens to sound to everyone else like we're having a good time.
It really leaves us with this beautiful realization. Your own hand was never a threat your brain needed to react to in the first place. The fact that you cannot tickle yourself is not some weird limitation. It's definitely not a flaw in your biology. It is remarkable, everyday proof that your brain's high-speed prediction engine is working flawlessly. It recognizes that you are perfectly safe from yourself, so it shuts down the threat response before you even consciously process the touch.
So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought to take away from today's explainer. Think about it. How much of your daily sensation is being pre-edited by your subconscious brain before you even feel it? Your mind is constantly filtering, anticipating, and rewriting reality just to keep you functioning smoothly. So the next time someone unexpectedly pokes you in the ribs and you burst out laughing, remember, you aren't just being ticklish, you are actively watching your brain's incredible prediction system get caught completely off guard in real time.